This lesson is going to be a really simple introduction to theory and reading notation for the drums. Reading music for the drums is incredibly simple. There are only a few things you need to know in the beginning, and then the rest you will learn along the way. The first thing to tell you is that when you see a note that's written with an X like this, that indicates that it should be played on a cymbal. Whenever you see a note that's written with a circular note head, that indicates that it's played on the drum. Knowing that immediately makes it easier to decode what you see on the page and know what part of the drum kit it is. There is a PDF that you can download with this lesson that will show you a complete legend of all the parts on the drum kit and where the notes appear on the musical staff. That's going to help you out for the first few weeks until you memorize the notes on the staff. When you look at the notation for any exercise moving forward, you're going to see the musical staff with vertical lines crossing it. Each vertical line is called a bar line, and the space between these two bar lines is called a measure. All of the notation will be written within the measures. If you have a musical staff with vertical bar lines that divide it into 4 equal measures, then that would be 4 cycles of your counting. Whenever you see notes written with an X sitting on top of the musical staff, those notes are written for the hi-hats. You're going to be seeing those in the very next lesson, so you want to get to know what they look like. When you see notes that are written with an X on the top line of the musical staff, those are for your ride cymbal. Now let's talk drums. Whenever you see a note written on the second space from the top, this is always going to be your snare drum, so you want to get to know this spot on the musical staff. When notes are written on other spaces or lines above or below the snare, it's going to be some of your toms. The other drum that you really need to know is the bass drum. These notes are always written on the bottom space of the musical staff. Whenever you see notes written there, it is always to be played on the bass drum. Make sure you hit that red subscribe button and click the bell so that you get a notification every time we have a new video. As drummers, we are the kings and queens of rhythm, so it's extra important that you get to know all of this notation, not only what it looks like, but what it should sound like and how it should be played. Let's start off with some of the basic rhythms that you're going to encounter in this course. When you see a note written for a cymbal or a drum, and all it has is a stem sticking right up in the air, that's called a quarter note. These notes are one note right on the beat. That would be when you count the number. So in other words, if you were to see 4 quarter notes in a row, that means you are to play 1, 2, 3, 4. Pretty simple so far. If those notes were written on the bottom space of the staff, then you know it would be in the kick. 1, 2, 3, 4. The next rhythm you need to know are called eighth notes. These are when we take the quarter note and split it in half, so that in each beat there's 2 notes. You'll notice that the way the notation is written is 2 notes for either a cymbal or a drum where their stems are joined at the top. Whenever you see this and it's just 2 notes, that's a clear indication that you're looking at eighth notes. Eighth notes are counted this way: 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. If you do the math, there's 8 notes there altogether, so one of them is 1 out of 8 possible notes. That's why they're called eighth notes. All you really need to know is that eighth notes are 2 notes per beat, and you need to know how to count them as well. If you're working on an exercise that is meant to be played repetitively, they're going to be marked with repeat brackets. When you see these repeat brackets at the beginning and the end of any passage of music, it's telling you that the notation within is meant to be played repetitively. Finally, the last thing you need to know is a time signature. These are the numbers that appear at the beginning of a piece of music. All of the music you're going to be working on in this course is in 4/4 time. I'm not going to get into what that means now, you'll figure it out later. But 4/4 time basically means that you're counting it with 4 beats in the bar. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. That pretty much sums up all of the notation that you're going to need to know for the lessons in this course. The best way to learn is to make use of notation when you're working on exercises and practicing at home. Even if you're playing something correctly, make your eyes follow the notation so that you get used to looking at it and following along. As far as decoding the notation, that pretty much gives you everything you need to know in the beginning.